Welcome to the Wear, Wag, Repeat podcast. I'm Tori Mystic, here with my dogs Lucy and Bert. Together, we're interviewing cool, creative women entrepreneurs in the pet industry. Do you dream of working alongside your dog? Then sit, stay, and listen to the latest episode to find the inspiration and resources that will help you grow your own dog-inspired business. On this episode, I'm interviewing a woman who was inspired by a very cold camping trip to invent a solution to keep her dog warm and cozy on future trips. She tells us how she used Kickstarter to fund the first run of production, how she connected with people online to figure out how to even do that, and towards the end of the interview, she shares a really touching story about how her company gives back to the community. Let's dive in. Rachel Bauman's company, Whyld River, was inspired by her rescue pup, River. On a backpacking trip in Oregon in 2016, River got so cold during the night that Rachel was afraid that overnight trips in the future could endanger his health. She knew that she had to find him the right gear to keep him warm and safe. Unable to find River outdoor gear that was the same quality as her own gear, she decided to make him his very own sleeping bag. 1 year later, Rachel launched a Kickstarter campaign to manufacture River's sleeping bag, nicknamed the Doggy Bag, on a larger scale so that dogs everywhere could be safe and warm on their overnight trips. The Kickstarter was a success, and the Doggy Bag began shipping to adventure pups all over the world in October of 2018. Rachel hopes to be able to expand her product offerings in the near future to help dogs stay safe and happy on any outdoor adventure. Hey, Rachel.
Hi, Tori. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to hear about this. I'm so inspired every time I talk to someone who's like an inventor.
Yeah, I guess sort of.
You are.
It's funny because I worked at REI and Human Gear for a long time. So a lot of what I put into the doggy bag is just what us humans use. It's just good gear. So I invented it a little around canine needs, but all the stuff was there. So anyone can be an inventor, in other words.
Yeah. Well, that's so interesting that you used to work at REI. So obviously, not just being an outdoor enthusiast, but you actually could see the products that you didn't want to buy, or things maybe that were too expensive to buy, or you could see all the products basically, and sort of see what went into them. So that's so cool to kind of have that kind of experience.
Oh yeah, it was a great experience. I learned a lot.
So, okay, before we dive in, if you're just listening to this, Whyld River is spelled Whyld. So it's a funky way of spelling wild. So tell us why it is spelled like that.
I have to give a shout out to a woman in my graduate program who actually came up with the name, Erin Kintz. And I was thinking of the name Dow Dog because our dogs show us how to live, right? Just to enjoy the moment, not worry about the past or future, but kind of enjoy where we're at and who we're around. So I really wanted to embody that in my name. And she's like, don't do that name. That's terrible. But the Dow is the way. So I guess the why in Whyld River is your dog kind of shows you your why. This is how ideally you want to exist, right? Just appreciate what's around you and the time that you have and the people that you're around. So.
I love that. I like to say that I try to lead a dog-inspired life. So it's very similar, just living in the moment and being excited no matter where you're headed, because you never know.
And it's easier said than done.
It is easier said than done.
They make it look so easy.
Well, the other kind of not as inspiring way that that I try to lead a dog-inspired life is whenever I see my dog Bert drinking water, I try to also drink water because he drinks so much. So it actually can impact all sorts of different parts of your life.
I love that. My new agenda is going to be just scheduled around squirrels and water now.
Yeah. Yeah, when your dog chases a squirrel, you should also take a lap.
There we go. I love it. That's the new workout. We're going to start a new business together, workouts for dog moms.
I love it. And we have all these amazing dog mompreneurs listening. So between all of us,
there you go.
We can do it.
Feel free to use that. Just gold mine right there.
So, Okay, so obviously people in the pet industry are really awesome. What do you love about working in the pet industry and the animal lover kind of space?
So I think you and I were talking about long haul truckers on Instagram, and I think I was rather new to Instagram when I began Whyld River, and I was like, hey, here's this thing I made. And there were a couple accounts that kind of came along. Milo the Shepsky and Adventure Pup Leilani were some of the first people that I met on Instagram, and we went hiking and I met their dogs, and they were so excited about the product and what we were doing. And I mean, I don't know if Whyld River would exist today without that community, and it's just grown and been so supportive. So, it's really unique. Dog lovers are a special breed. And I think it's just, but especially on Instagram, it's just been such a warm community. And I know social media sometimes you get your trolls, I guess. But the real people on there's real people that really care and really love their dogs. And it's been an eye-opening experience to me to kind of find my pack through this process.
Yeah.
So.
What I think is so interesting that you mentioned is that you met up in person with some of these Instagram accounts early on. And I think that that's something that not a lot of people think of doing, but that's such a great tip because, I think the success in your business is really about that personal connection. People love to know the story, love to know who you are as a person and who your dog is as a person. But so meeting up in real life, that's something that I think is rare, but totally worthwhile. Just shoot someone a DM and see if they want to go for a dog walk or something.
Yeah. I mean, do it. Technically in Vancouver, Washington, but right across the river from Portland, Oregon. So let's go hike.
I love that. Yeah, that's so cool. And I'm always so jealous. Well, not jealous. I shouldn't say jealous because that's a negative thing, but I'm always so excited when I see other people meeting up with other Instagram dogs and doing things together because I just think it's so cool.
It's an amazing community.
Tell us a little bit about your Kickstarter campaign. So it sounds, from your bio, it kind of sounds like Kickstarter is what made it possible to produce the doggy bag. So that's really amazing. But from what I've heard, and I've talked to other people and interviewed other people who've done Kickstarter, it's no joke. It's a lot of work. So do you have any advice or any horror stories about doing it?
I think it's amazing because people really come out on Kickstarter to support you. And like you said, I wouldn't have funded my production without it. But yeah, I would definitely, I think I spent about 1.5 months. I started reaching out and doing PR about 3 or 4 months before the Kickstarter. I had some pre-sales on the website before I even decided to use the Kickstarter platform.
Okay, so wait a second. When you're reaching out and doing PR 4 months in advance, is that reaching out to Instagrammers or is that do you email the New York Times? What do you do?
Email everyone. Be like, I'm doing this thing. And you never know, someone could be interested in this thing that you're doing. There's a lot of advice online that I looked at, but that in itself is a full-time job. Just I crashed my mail app thing so many times per day because there were just so many emails going out. So that was huge. And then, the Kickstarter platform itself, it's really clunky to use. And there's all these larger companies on Kickstarter now, especially in product, that just have so many funds. I got contacted by a marketing agency and they're like, we start off at $30,000. I'm like, I have literally no money. That's why I'm on Kickstarter. So I can make this product, but there are people out there with that kind of money and a team behind them. So, just everyone wants to root for David against Goliath. So definitely get out there, but just put a couple months aside that's like Kickstarter oriented and,
right.
and do your
I've actually noticed that like some bigger brands doing Kickstarter campaigns, and I was like, why are they doing this? I know that they have the capital, and my brother-in-law said that it's just like another marketing tool for them because you can get so much buzz out of it. So it's very interesting how people, I mean, I think that's a creative use of Kickstarter for them. Kudos to them for being, thinking outside the box, but it does kind of make it harder for the little guys who are using it for its intended purpose.
That's totally true. And yeah, I mean, I'm on Instagram, Whyld_River. So if you ever have any questions about Kickstarter, I'm more than happy to share my experience and try to help you out, because it's a great platform, but it's tough. It's not easy. Be prepared for a wild ride.
Literally, no pun intended. Why?
No pun intended.
Is there like one piece of advice you would give someone is just like email 1 million people, or have an amazing video, or have great rewards for people? Like what is there one thing that you think is the key to success?
I think the video is essential. I was lucky. There's a gentleman named Tyler Hansen out here. He does a company called Tree Fort, and he did my video, which I think was essential. Just getting the story and that visual description across like really quickly, I think is really important. And like anything in business, and you probably know this even from running your own business, it does require like some upfront costs. So, just be prepared. Like, people want to know too that they're going to get their thing, like whatever it is. So, really look at your costs, make sure everything's covered so that you don't, so that people can trust you and that you actually deliver on your promises. So
right.
I think that's important.
Yeah, people really want the stuff that they're backing on there.
It's cool.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us a little bit about like actually designing and manufacturing the doggy bag, because like creating products out of thin air is something that just like boggles my mind so much, and I don't even know where you would start. So how did you do this?
That's a great point. And I think it is really hard. It's interesting because it's almost one of the barriers to entry is no one really knows, how do I get started in this? And I was lucky because I was in a graduate program through the University of Oregon here in Portland that was focused on sports product management, but they also had an aspect where we developed a product as a group. So part of the reason I actually did the doggy bag was just to kind of test this product development cycle and what that looked like. And then it ended up becoming something else because I got other people involved and they're like, this is cool, I want one. I was like, oh no, what did I do here? So I was lucky enough to actually have, someone coaching through this and helping me to find those connections. I went to Outdoor Retailer in Denver, Colorado, which is where I found my manufacturing partner, who's been fantastic, Ivy Fashion. And yeah, it's tough though to get your foot in the door. I do have friends that have gone on Alibaba and just reached out, and I would use caution in using Alibaba, but you can reach out to suppliers. I would look for a legitimate website outside of Alibaba and try to contact them outside of that platform, because I've also had some missteps with Alibaba. So, but it's not easy. You can find like conferences to go to sometimes in your area, like if you're looking for specific materials or people to make things. But I'm a big believer too in like, just ask, like whatever it is you need, like put it out there in the universe. There's startup platforms, there's manufacturing platforms, like we have the internet, like put it out there, be like, I want to make this thing. And don't be afraid to say it. Like, I think people are like, oh, someone's going to steal my idea, or, I don't want to put it out there. And I think that holds a lot of people back. So just like, tell us what you're building and let us help you, because there's some really cool products out there and cool ones yet to be seen.
Yeah, so I think that's great advice. And I think that, people are worried about others stealing their ideas, but they can steal your idea. It doesn't really matter if they're not going to execute it. Like, that's the hard part. Actually getting something done and made and finished, that's the hard work that you're going to put into it. So no one's going to steal your idea and then go do like 1 million hours worth of work to make it. That's on you.
Right. And if they are, then go patent that because it's worth it. I mean, it's worth the $5,000 to $10,000 or whatever it costs to patent something. But
Right.
my product, it's not patentable, which, so Amazon could do a knockoff. I mean, that's totally a potential. But the idea behind Whyld River is to keep coming out with innovative solutions to the problems that people are having with their pets and really spark a conversation too. Like, I think a big problem is a lot of the brands just put stuff out there and they don't listen to what actual pet parents need in their day-to-day lives. So, I think if you have an idea, really, it's about you and, your brand that you make, like Tori Mystic and Wear Wag Repeat, I mean, that is a unique individual brand. Someone can do another podcast doing the same thing, but they're not you and they don't have your brilliant ideas. So
thank you.
Put it out there,
Well, and also I think another resource for people just to dive into things is Facebook groups. I have found a group for just about every small, tiny, minute niche that you can possibly think of. I was thinking about creating like lotion, hand lotion and things like that to sell in my store that was like just for dog moms. And I found a Facebook group that was all about how to source white label cosmetic products. And there's like thousands of people in this group.
Wow.
There's a Facebook group for literally anything you could imagine.
So just go on Facebook and start searching.
Yeah. And I think you're right. Just like reach out to people and ask people questions. That's been one of the greatest things about doing this show is I just get to email a bunch of people and then ask them questions for half an hour. It's really fun.
That's pretty cool. I like what you do.
Thank you.
It's pretty fun.
Sorry to interrupt the interview, but I would love to see what you're doing while you catch up with the Wear, Wag, Repeat podcast. Take a screenshot of this episode in your podcast player or snap a selfie with your earbuds in. Bonus points if it's on a dog walk, and share it to your Instagram stories, tagging me at @tmystic. I'll keep an eye out for mentions, and I would love to give you a shout out from my own account. Okay, now back to the episode. So one of the things that is kind of common in a lot of different pet businesses is working with rescues and nonprofits. Yeah. So that's something that you do at Whyld River. So tell us a little bit about how you sort of give back to that community.
Yeah. So we work with a lot of nonprofits here, just showing up at events and things like that. But our big thing is to have every dollar that you spend mean something more than just a cool product, because there's tons of cool products out there, but I think these days it's like when I buy something, I want to know it means more than just me buying something, like I'm making a difference. What we want to do is make each product have its own kind of donation built into the actual price. It's funny because when I went to investors, they're like, this is a terrible idea. Get rid of that. It's not something that like businesses like to do. So a lot of times you'll see like they'll do a percentage of profits. That's not what we do. It's actually a percentage that's built into the price. And, what we do for our doggy bag is for every 10 sold, 1 goes to Portland Animal Welfare Team, which helps people and their pets that are struggling with poverty or homelessness, veterinary care, food, and supplies. We just donated, we gave them a check, which is the monetary equivalent, and then we gave them 3 doggy bags that raised some money at auction, and then 1 went to a man and his dog that were sleeping on the street, unfortunately, to help keep his pet warm at night and also to keep them together.
Right.
There's a huge bond there that's hard because it gets broken a lot of times through that difficult time. So it just means a lot to me personally to be able to do some of that. And that's one of the reasons building that from the start and never wavering from that, I think is super important. So if you're building your business and that's something that you want to do, just make sure that people that tell you no are not good people that maybe to have in your business. Because if it's important to you, like just put that out there and stick with it, because I think other people see that too.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's really awesome that you actually give product, because, you designed this for a reason, and although it's a very cool and attractive product, it's very utilitarian, and it exists to keep your dogs safe and warm in the cold. So I think, putting it to really good use with someone who could really use it, that's just so cool. And something like, I don't think you get that kind of reward when money does go far, but like seeing the actual product being used, that's just like a whole different thing.
That is huge. I mean, that keeps me going every day it doesn't have to be someone that's down on their luck,
right?
Even though I was at my part-time job at the time, and I was like kind of tearing up, and I had this photo, and, anyways, it totally brought tears to my eyes to be a part of that. But, there's also just on Instagram, just seeing everyone's pups enjoying their doggy bags. I mean, that's what gets me through the nitty gritty of every day. So
yeah, people can go on more adventures, and they can do more things with their dog thanks to your product. So that's really awesome.
It's been a lot of fun.
Do you have any apps or tools or websites or anything that really help you run your business and make all of this happen?
It's really funny you asked that, because I just had a meeting with two of my friends that have been helping me, and I think they were really scared by my lack of organization. So they were like, this is really bad. So it's a work in progress. I'm one of those people that tends to leap before really looking all the way, which I think can be good in business, because if you think too much, you don't start. So that's but at the same time, now that it's gotten started, it's definitely something I'm looking at. But I use basics. If it's not on my calendar on my phone, it doesn't get done. My notes app, my phone goes everywhere. So if it's on my phone, that's pretty much, I try to keep it to 3 apps. I'm mail, calendar, notes. If it's in one of those places, it's probably going to get done. A good percentage chance, reminders on your alarm and all that good stuff. But it's something I'm working on now that Whyld River is kind of in a growth stage, is kind of developing some more processes. So.
Do you have any plans that you want to share with us about what you're working on for the future?
So we've had some requests for down, actually. So we're kind of working on a product that'll utilize down and be super light and compact. And then we're working on some other gear for getting dogs outdoors with you and making them safe, healthy, and loved, which is kind of our mission. But I'm always open to hearing suggestions. One of the ideas is if we hear enough of, oh, I hate all the dog booties out there, or, oh man, I could really use a harness for my dog because they had an amputation. None of the harnesses work. I think if we start hearing things enough, what I'd like to see with Whyld River is it really becomes one of those collaborative efforts where these people want to see a certain product, let's get together and really make this product come to life. So it's not just one person being I think you need another type of, leash, or
right.
something, which is great. And there are always innovations in those things. But, I think there's other areas too, where people have ideas and people want things. And so we want to be kind of a way to get those out into the universe.
Yeah. Well, and what I think something that's just, I've been thinking about is that, you wanted to create something that would help people with adventure dogs go camping and do that kind of stuff. I interviewed a while ago someone who lives here in Pittsburgh, 2 entrepreneurs who started Spruce Pup, and they also wanted to invent a product that could help dogs go on more adventures and camp and travel alongside you. But you guys invented totally different things. You've got the doggy bag, sleeping bag. Yeah. They've got this zip up dog bed. They're 2 totally different things that don't compete at all, but it's just so neat. There's so many ideas, and everyone should just do their things, because we need more of all of these awesome products.
And shout out to them, by the way, because I think they did Indiegogo, and I will have to say I used their Indiegogo for some inspiration for my Kickstarter. So thank you if you're listening, because that's an amazing product, and what a cool kind of brand that they've built up. So I think, the pet industry is so old and in this old school way of thinking, like we all have to compete with one another, and that doesn't help anyone. But I think we can change the pet industry and make it more collaborative.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just like going into big box stores like PetSmart or Petco. Not that there's anything wrong with those, but going in there, I just always am like, blah, because like nothing is like innovative or imaginative, or like the toys are not pretty. So like I want things that kind of like look good with my decor in my living room, because they're going to be lying around there for like months and years. And so I just think like all the people I've been able to interview, everyone's just doing such cool, innovative stuff. And I can't wait for the whole big box industry to kind of start picking up all these products so that we actually have cool stuff to buy. Yeah.
Especially women in the pet industry. It seems to be go women. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Girl power.
We're going to change it. I love it.
So before we have to go, we have to hear a little bit about River, and just tell us about him.
So River, I was working at REI and I went to lunch, and there was a group of rescue pups outside of Whole Foods. Props to Whole Foods for doing that. And River gave me a hug and pretty much chose me. I was like maybe considering getting a cat in my apartment. And he was just like, nope, you're my human. Like, he'd never walked on a leash. He always like sat and pulled on a leash. And like the first day I went to pick him up and put the leash on him, and he's like, okay, he's like prancing out the door, like ready to, so he was just like, he chose me all the way. And so, and, you know, he was 6 months old when I got him. So it was a total learning curve, but you know, he's my best friend and we do everything together. And, you know, I wanted to take him on all of my adventures. So that's kind of how Whyld River was born, and he still oversees a lot of it. He's more of a model than he'd like to be. He's not very good at it. Like, we went on a hike with like, my whiskey girl, and whiskey is like so good at posing and stuff. And River's just over there like, I do. Like, I'm going to go chase a squirrel, like take a picture of my butt. He's terrible. So yeah, if anyone wants to be the new Whyld River model, I'm just
taking applications.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm over this. Put away the phone. He now like gets really upset. The laptop or phone comes out. He's like, oh man, it's over.
All work and no play.
Yeah. And that's the other thing about starting a business. Like, I will say, I thought I would get outside more and adventure more. But as you probably know, it's like, I mean, it's a 24/7.
Yeah, there's a lot to do.
There's a lot to do. I definitely want to encourage everyone to like pursue their dreams, but do, you know, keep in mind too that this is like, it's constant and it's tough. So reach out if you ever need like a virtual hug, or, you know, a real hug or a beer if you're in the area.
I love that. That's awesome. At a dog-friendly brewery, of course.
Right, exactly.
So, Rachel, tell us where everyone can find you online so they can get a hug from you.
Exactly. So it's WHYLD, Whyld River, RIVER.com. And we are on Instagram, which is WHYLD, whatever the lower dash is. Underscore.
Do you know your own Instagram handle?
And it didn't work. It was like, no. So yeah, most of the time, if you just search Whyld, we actually kind of pop up because there's not a whole lot of, thank you to Aaron, because luckily with that name, there's not a whole lot else that pops up. And,
yeah, that's a huge perk of having like a semi-made up word.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's been great. So yeah, come find us.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thank you, Tori. This is awesome. It was fun getting to know you.
Thank you for listening to the Wear, Wag, Repeat podcast. You can fetch show notes at wearwagrepeat.com. If you like what you hear, please hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And until next time, we'll see you around the dog park.